Hello, hi chat. This is I'm Not Trying to Kill You. How you doing? I'm Ash, if you didn't already know. My pronouns are she and her. And this is the show where I get to GM people and they usually don't die. And today we're playing Between Dreams, which is a game that was made by Emily, Luke, and I, which is really exciting. And we also have Andy here with us. Shall we go through and do the thing where we introduce ourselves? Just say who you are. Hi, hello, Luke.
Emily's here. Why am I first? I'm confronted. Hello. Hi, I'm Luke. I use they, them pronouns. I am variously a professional GM for children, a game designer, and a person who appears on Twitch stuff like this. I like to cook. I like it when things are sad and spooky, mostly in games, but also a little bit in real life.
I feel like a hearty stew made out of ghosts would be like the most, like specifically like sad ghosts would be the most Luke thing ever.
Ooh. What if you got some like spicy mad ghosts in there?
I don't know if it would have like. I think it'd be more like you'd like make it with like haunted, so you'd get like some like potatoes grown in a field where like a family's like grief during the like Great Famine had like poured in, and so there'd be all of this like emotional resonance in the soup, but no actual ghosts.
Yeah, that makes
Ghosts
sense.
is a very like specific ritual activity and not one that I have much use for most of the time.
Yeah.
There's a book that is rather related to that concept called The Particular Taste of Lemon Cake, The Particular Sadness of Lemon Cake.
That sounds amazing. I'm gonna write that shit down.
Yeah.
Lemon cake has that weird emotional association. Like, it's always served at wakes. There's always lemon cake at wakes, and I don't know why. But, yeah.
I learned something.
Had lemon cake at a wake I've been to.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it's because it's like relatively simple to make, and it's a thing that people would have ingredients for and could make even if they were very sad.
Should we talk about the social mobility of Slice? Is that where this is going?
No.
Let's not get into the slice debate today.
Let's
Slice debate.
Let's make Andy introduce herself.
Oh, yeah. Sure, I could do that. We could talk about cake for a long time. In the meantime, hi, I'm Andy. My pronouns are she and her. I'm excited to be here. I believe Luke mentioned, what was it, sad and... What were the...
Spooky.
Sad and spooky games sound exactly correct. And maybe a bit of, like I said, whatever spicy looks like. I'm into that. Yeah,
cool.
That feels real good. That means, Emily, I think you're up.
Yep.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Emily. I'm an artist and a filmmaker primarily, and then I do a lot of stuff on this channel. My pronouns are she, her, hers. Spooky, sad things are also good. I like things that are mysterious and unfathomable as well. I'm a big fan of mysterious and unfathomable. So,
Yeah.
some of that would be great today.
Some of that unfathomable action.
I'd just like to take a moment. I have this growing theory. Ash and I have talked about this before. That like everyone's like tonal palette for role-playing games is often like three flavors, right? So like Ash likes sad, spooky, and funny. And so does Andrew. We've had this conversation with Andrew. Andy likes like sad, spooky, and like it didn't sound like you were quite very angry, like defiant.
Spicy.
Emily's like sad, spooky, and mysteriously unfathomable.
Yeah.
And mine is like sad, spooky, and like heartfelt and like unbearably sincere because I can't help myself.
I'm so excited to think about this.
Yeah.
This is why is this making me think of like Battle Chef Brigade? And it's like, quickly make me a dish with as much spooky and as much heartfelt unfathomableness as you can.
Look, I don't think that is a bad way to think about how to tailor tone to games.
I
right?
mean, like 100%. This is a thing I do when I'm setting up, when I'm organizing these streams. Is I specifically I
this
refer
game is
to
sad
like
and spooky. Who do I know who's sad and spooky?
Yeah, I'm like what colors? Like I look into my box of people I know, and I'm like, what colors do I want to paint this stream with? Right? Like, yeah. That said, seeing as we're playing Between Dreams, do we want to talk about like where we're setting our story today? What kinds of colors and tones do we see in it? What kind of, like, are we talking like urban or remote, or like that suburban sort of like are we doing the traditional thing of like setting it in Japan, or are we setting it somewhere like that we don't normally associate with the Murakami and Miyazaki? What do we feel like?
See, I'm a little sad that I wasn't able to do the one that you did last week, where you were in snowy Canada. So I think that sounds like a really interesting like change, but it still fits really well.
Are there any other kinds of spaces that we can find?
Yeah, are there other places that have?
This is what I've been thinking about all week.
Where and when in the context?
My homework has been I've been like, no one sent me this homework. I set it for myself.
Certainly.
I was like, look, like we know that Japan works. We know that like North America works. Like we do Canada specifically, but I think like, you know, like the rest of North America, particularly the Pacific Northwest, would probably also be fine. And yeah, so then I was like, but like France didn't quite click.
Yeah, France didn't land.
And so like, what I've been thinking is like, where else has that like local cultural equivalent to like Americana, whatever the fucking word for it is.
Yeah,
like
I was gonna say
that like haunted quality, the like lyricality of like beautiful
France
countryside.
France is almost too positive, right? Like it's too, things are beautiful and we have nice wine.
Sure, you need a place that's like in its off season when it's been abandoned.
Yeah, you could do it in like certain parts of London, I think.
Or like certainly England as like in like the north,
or Wales,
anywhere in the north, anywhere in Wales, around the coalfields particularly, whole stretches of like Cornwall and like the southern coast. I think like Ireland is a really strong contender because
Scotland would have again its own very specific tone. I think the answer is actually our familiarity with it, right? Like my familiarity with Paris is actually because I know Paris through certain sets of media. I think that's where we struggled actually, is because I don't know about the sadness of Paris.
I have a theory now. You've just provoked a theory. I think I have it.
Oh dear.
Right? It has to be, for a setting to work, it must have some quality of like desolation or lonesomeness or sadness in it. That's the haunted part, and it must feel familiar.
Yes.
And that's the everyday part, right? Like we have to like be able to like relate to it in a certain kind of emotional way, like a place that we know.
Like it would be much easier for me to set a game of this in, for instance, the Australian outback than it would be for people who haven't like grown up with that, and that would you know.
Whereas like I could definitely do Ireland. Like I would just go straight back to like times I've spent in Dublin when it's really rainy and sad, and times I've spent in Cork where it was really rainy and sad, and times I've spent in the countryside and it was really rainy and sad. There's a theme developing here to my Irish experiences.
I see this.
I think this is very interesting.
Another one that I think of because I just watched this film recently, but I don't think I'd be familiar enough with the kind of specifics of the culture and the setting. But I recently watched A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. You've seen it, which is very, very excellent and beautiful film. And I feel like the town that is set in is also a really great example of that kind of like sad and haunted and lonely.
I also think I'm gonna go out on a limb and make a capital S statement about this game.
Oh dear.
I don't think it works with capital cities, possibly even cities full stop.
Yeah, like I think you could do it in Tokyo.
I think the Paris of France. We did it in Tokyo. That's true, but I think the Paris of France was part of the issue.
Maybe.
Like I think if you did it in like a small fishing village like 50 miles from Marseille down on the south coast of France,
probably. Yeah,
I think that would be a much more workable space,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And I think part of why Tokyo worked is because we were playing like your weird pastiche of Tokyo, not actual
Yeah,
Tokyo.
I've never been to Tokyo, so
Because you've never been to Tokyo,
yeah.
right? Whereas you have been to Paris.
See,
I
it seems
haven't. I haven't
powerful.
either, so-
Ah.
Oh,
Oh, it seems powerful and important to be able to, like, for everyone to have permission to be like, I don't know, let's make it up.
Yeah.
yes.
So being careful that no one or two or three out of, are the given expert on that space.
Right. So,
Yeah.
So I think there's also that.
okay.
Non-
So
Yeah.
his
Invented places, like
his what?
non-specific towns.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Is-
really
is
good.
strong.
All right. So,
Suburban or rural get pretty
What?
exciting.
yeah. What part of the environment in our so let's just say we have a place. What part of the environment creates isolation in that place? Is it snow? Is it capitalism? Is it
Is it space?
yeah? Is it just
Just
sheer
everything's
amount of
sort of spread out.
distance?
Yeah. I kind of. Why do I know why I want this, because I would just spend 3 hours watching someone play Adam play What Water Tastes Like Wine. I'm kind of feeling Montana. Like rolling grasslands and like heartbreakingly blue sky overhead and just like out as far as the eye can see, and everything's like super far apart and very lonely.
Right. Because I was going to say, like, I only have a very vague understanding of what makes Montana Montana, but yes, I can see the kind of thing that you mean.
That's the part of Montana that I am interested in.
I think I do like when we're working sort of from like at least a specific country. I like to know enough about the
Yeah.
idiosyncrasies of the place to like bring those things in. I don't know that I
No, that's fair.
would know a lot, but like that would be okay.
Here's what I'm suggesting. Andy, how familiar? Does Montana have touchstones
Yeah.
for you that you can touch?
Yeah,
into?
if I was going to make imaginings about what Montana was on about, it's lots of space, nobody has any money, more space, it's really, really, really cold, there's big mountains and big valleys.
Cool.
No one talks about
Right.
no one talks about their feelings.
Critical.
So
No one.
My experience of Montana, I mean, not like that region, is very heavily shaped by the Laramie Project and the particular picture of Wyoming that paints. So,
Okay.
like, yeah, very sad version
So,
of that in my head.
I have a suggestion that solves this problem. We're going to play in a cross between Montana and the section of the Fleurieu Peninsula between the two coasts. Emily, Mount Compass,
Okay. All right.
because Mount Compass has a lot of the same themes as Montana.
Got it.
Yeah.
So now we've got an intersection where we can all be like, oh, I have a thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then,
Yep.
and what's interesting is that the idiosyncrasies will pastiche interestingly. Cool.
Yep.
Alright.
Okay.
Neat.
I mean,
like it.
we've used Mount Compass as a setting before because I can draw it up.
Yeah, that's the thing. I just have to try not to like
Don't.
just go straight back into that one. I'll think of somewhere near there.
Yep.
I'll go.
Yeah. You could talk about the multi megaplex that is Yundi. So the questions that I have in my head are like, what makes this place isolated, and what does it remember? Those are the two questions I kind of want to know answers to.
And, like,
Yeah.
I feel like inherent in the memory question is like what memories there are under attack. Because that sense of like modernity encroaching or capitalism encroaching or you know, people like growing up and forgetting, or like I feel like that's kind
Yeah.
of also key.
Because when we say like what things does it remember, I immediately think of sort of like that kind of nostalgic past glory, you know, a time that was.
Is it more appropriate to say what memories are fading, or what is its nostalgia? What is it nostalgic about?
I like either of those.
I like the directness of the memories an understanding of the memories as being like actively like like they're not just fading, they are like under attack.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it's not just like everything is like slowly and sadly falling apart. It's like something is making the memories go away.
What's really interesting about that is that I think we established that, right? But it doesn't. It becomes like this very active thing of the attack, right? This
is irrelevant to the game. Oh, absolutely.
Is actually the background for something that's much more passive, which is really interesting to me. Yeah. So, what do we feel like?
This is the most abstract version of this game we've ever done. We're like,
I blame Andy.
Designing on the fly. If Andy is responsible, Andy, can you please stream with us every week? Like, I'm all about this.
That's true.
Great. Yeah. So one of the things that Montana always has and is in the process of forgetting is that very distance and those plains and those prairies.
Yeah.
Assuredly, all the things that are modern are like all these modern pressures are shrinking all of these spaces and isolating them, and we have like increasing like occurrences of islands, be they physical, emotional, right? Like
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
how does that land as a
No, I like that a lot. I also have a thought that I don't know if this is fitting or not. This is maybe more like just a general sort of faded nostalgia of America kind of feeling, and also I guess where we live. But I'm wondering if there's something about this town where there's like there is somewhere that used to be like some kind of tourist attraction, like maybe a natural feature that people would come to visit that has like kind of fallen out of popularity, or like has been like sort of ruined by the tourists visiting it, or something like that. Like that could be kind of a fun thing.
I think
like
that was go ahead.
Like connection from land, or like connection to the land almost being under threat, in the way that like Todd's saying in chat that like fishing and hunting and like that kind of stuff is very much like a big Montana theme, and the idea of like having like taken too much from the land, and like there's that scarcity of like like all the buffalo are dead because we hunted them all to extinction, and like the land remembers them, but like they're not there anymore. Like that kind of weird sadness.
Certainly.
I feel like I have a suggestion here, which is that like an absence of like birds or a certain kind of bird, because Emily, we were talking about the white-winged chough the other day, and like specifically in the area that I'm referencing, like drainage of swamps created like a dearth of these sorts of birds. So like not specifically birds, but like there was a specific kind of creature that people would come to this place to see that that modernization has basically taken to the brink of extinction.
Andy, you were going to say something as well?
Oh, I just started immediately thinking about birds.
I like birds.
I like the idea. I like the idea of it being like some kind of like food animal that is hunted that has like disappeared.
Shall we make it like a specific kind of pheasant?
Sure. Yeah.
Because we could make this hunted thing a bird. My other thought was like there are always all of those like symbiotic relationships between like big grazing animals and birds. So the idea that like with the buffalo, the elk, or whatever all dead, the birds just all went away.
Yeah.
And now there are just no birds for like just no birds at all.
Yeah,
I like the idea of there being some kind of large, magnificent animal that like people would come to visit. You know, and something that isn't actually a real animal in the world. You know, the the magnificent tree-horned deer or whatever. You know, like
perfect.
Some particular big creature that people would try to catch a glimpse of.
The last of the megafauna.
Yeah.
Oh, would they Megatherium? Would they the giant ground sloths?
Or something like that. I'm feeling a deer thing. I like the idea of a deer thing.
Yeah. And so like with them, all the birds have left, and like inexplicably, because it's magical realism, like all the birds have left.
Yeah.
Except that, of course, because it's magical realism, inexplicable birds will probably just appear in the story, and everyone will be like, "The birds are back." What the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's just a thing where it's sounding like sort of there was one thing that was a more important part of the ecology and the balance than people realized, and once that thing disappeared, everything kind of has just fallen apart in this area, and the wildlife and the vegetation and everything.
Sure. Like the whole ecology system falls apart as soon as you pull out any given piece of it, right? Funny how it's a delicate system that we break all the time. Yay, contemporary perspective on the value of all those things.
And that's like a metaphor for like human like social ecology as well, like totally.
So
also, Ash, the name you've given your species of strange bird deer, I can't not picture the raven stag from Hannibal. That's just what I'm picturing.
Okay, so I'm thinking about like, because we have a thing here that's appropriate, and I kind of want to just use it outright, which is fairy wrens.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Fairy wrens are lovely.
I like the idea of fairy wrens having been like the like unknown cornerstone to the bird population. And that they had been making nests in the horns of these creatures.
I was gonna say, literally, they make nests in the horns. Of course, it's like I immediately pictured when you said that, like when you see cows or sheep in fields, and then there are little birds that just like ride around on their backs and eat the insects that fly up. I love that idea of the fairy wrens nesting in the horns of
like both of these regions have like an abundance of small nut and insect-eating birds, so I think that's appropriate.
Okay.
But now all of those big magnificent animals are dead, and all of the birds are gone.
All the passerines are away.
I feel like it's important that we not fall too in love with these animals, because
they're dead.
Because they're absent, right? Like they are definitionally not on screen. They exist as negative space, and so like
seems
not
very
get carried away.
Get carried away with prepping ourselves to be very sad about this. I mean,
with like imagining them in too much detail. It's like it's not necessarily fruitful prep.
Now that we've got a space for them to exist in, shall we look at characters?
Yes.
great.
Each of you should have a character in the characters section.
Oh my gosh, I have a character.
You do.
It is so.
And you should be able to see each other's, so you can put like the name, like when you edit your character, you can put your name and pronouns so that people can see each other's name and pronouns in the list.
Yeah.
But the place that we traditionally start this shit is in Outlook and Roll. How did Luke? You said you were thinking about something thoughtful.
Yeah, I'm thinking about thoughtful, but I'm also, I don't know, thoughtful to me has always been the one of these outlooks that feels a little bit strange, because it's
in action.
Yeah, from a game design perspective, it's an odd choice. And I'm not sure.
I mean, that was intentional in in the original, like in the Dungeon World version, because it was like, hey, take an XP for not making a move, right? Like, but I'm not sure how it fits in this.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm not sure how effectively I could play that.
Oh, so
that's a good point. Like, you being able to play it is a different question to whether.
But maybe that's why it's valuable. Like, it reminds me of in Torchbearer, where like they make a specific point of saying like, you can play a magic user, like if you are the kind of player like who generally is fairly familiar with this and likes to throw their character into something. Play this. Like, I wonder if there's a bit of a meta layer here of like, if you are either by nature a very quiet player, this might work for you, or you want to challenge yourself to like, and I know that Luke, you've been saying this recently, like you want to challenge yourself to like do more like quiet sort of behind the scenes, like help frame other characters' stuff. And
I think the first thing that now I'm just derailed into game design. I think the first thing there is my concern about it as a mechanic. because it is a comfortable option that introverted players will retreat into, and it like mechanically incentivizes them to not participate in play.
See, that is so interesting. My perspective is that it's such a wonderful opportunity to be sad and lonely and tell everyone about it.
Yes, I mean, that's the thing. You know, just because you're not taking action inside the fiction doesn't mean that you're not
acting.
I mean, the wording of make a move, like instead of make a move, does mean some very particular things, though.
Yeah, and that wording can be adjusted. I think we understand what thoughtful means as players.
Tell you what, I'm gonna try being thoughtful. We'll see how it goes.
I believe in you.
It's exciting.
And if like halfway through I find that it is not working for me, I like reserve the right
to switch out.
To switch it for melancholy, which is like, I feel like there's enough conceptual overlap there that I can slide it and then it'll be fun.
That sounds great.
What do I want to do?
I'm really feeling belligerent.
I mean, you said you wanted to be spicy.
Yeah, that's definitely the spicy one. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Now let's sort them, right? Like we've got melancholy is the sad one. Belligerent is the spicy one.
Hopeful is the earnest one.
Yeah, hopeful is the Luke option.
Yep.
And then thoughtful is Emily's weird enigmatic mystery one. And then all of them are spooky because that's what game this is.
Quite. Do you have a sense of what you're stoked about, Emily?
For some reason, I got it into my head that when I was thinking about characters, I think because I was reading some Murakami short stories recently, there's a character in one of those who is like a nurse. And so I've got it in my mind that like I quite like to play someone who is maybe that kind of person, a caretaker of some sort, and I'm trying to decide which of those outlooks is most interesting for that, because I feel like I could have fun with any of them. Hopeful seems kind of too obvious for that, I think. I'm wondering about melancholy.
Yeah, belligerent is maybe too obvious in the other direction.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's the really obvious point of, like, I'm going to play, like, a nuanced character with, like, multiple dimensions. I'm going to pick the two polar opposite like, come on.
Exactly.
Slow down.
Yeah. Whereas I'm thinking, like, melancholy could be kind of a fun contrast.
Melancholy sounds really lovely, and so often care work is, shocker, we all know this, undervalued, underrepresented. And there's a lot of things there where that work is very important, and it's also unseen. And so there's so many opportunities to be like, oh yeah, here it is. And how do you sit with that, I suppose, right? So those are the questions that come to mind for me based on some of the experience I have in the world.
And like my, at least in nursing, which like I've read of it, like the opportunities to like take a moment and like stop and eat and drink like are very rare, which I think jives with the fact that the playbook is like significant. We care. Those moments of rest.
You went a little bit robot-y there for a second, but I think you're good now.
My character is a robot. I'm gonna play an AI that lives in the cloud. No,
I mean, that would actually be great, but yeah, okay.
Unexpected twist.
I'm thinking based on that. Oh no, I was going to say a mentor seems good, but that means I would lose the dream move. I love the dream move.
Life is difficult, Emily.
Although actually, it could also be an enigma.
Yeah, you could also do that.
That could be really fun.
Which makes you like a really really. Losing the seek facts move makes being a nurse hard.
True. That's very true. Good point. Ooh, that is tough.
You're a different kind of nurse.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because the story that I am thinking of is like the nurse is like the character of Scheherazade, and like one of the things that she does for this patient that she has is that she will tell him stories of like her life question mark, her past lives question mark, and she's just very kind of like she's a little bit mysterious in that way, but in all other ways very, very practical.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
that-
I feel like there's two ways to do nursing in this game, right? There's through seek facts, or there's the option that my ramen chef took, which is like it's just deep work. You're just like, the change I want to work in the world is I want this person to get better. What do I need to do to make that happen?
Yeah. I like
I'm
that.
like, that feels like a really interesting mechanical look at like how nursing could work.
I think I'm gonna go that. I'm gonna go melancholy enigma.
Cool. Andy, you're doing a great job of passing off to others.
Maybe. Try. I keep looking at a mentor. The idea of a belligerent mentor sounds great.
That sounds excellent. Yeah.
I don't know what that means yet, but I'm feeling real good about it.
I think
like
that's
it.
what I did last game, and it was a really good time. So like, cosign, like, yeah,
Awesome.
you're gonna have you'll have fun.
I'm already having fun. This is great. This is perfect.
Does anyone have any feelings about special moves?
I'm still thinking about my role.
Oh, of course you are.
What do you?
You just assumed I was playing a mentor, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I just assumed that you were playing a bear.
That's not a listed role. And this time I will be playing the Lonely Wind. Excuse you.
I love you so much, but goddamn it.
I've got a whole character concept. It's good. What I can't figure out is what role it wants to be, because I do feel like, from a perspective of like the kind of play that I am trying to practice, like there is a reason I have done mentor the last 2 times, and it's because like there is a natural like meeting of those things. But I
So
think
the
it
question is,
also-
can you use those other roles to achieve that goal?
Yeah, exactly, right? I... This is hard.
Remember that you can double up. You can have 2 mentors or 2 enigmas if you want.
I know.
But I would encourage you to check in with the other players of those if you're doing that.
So I don't want to be a suit,
Sure.
because I just like that attitude is not an interesting thing to me in a game like this, like for a thing that I want to explore. And like child just fuck it, you know what, I'm gonna be a child and I'm gonna make it work, and
Cool.
we'll see how
I'm
it goes.
excited.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
Can I say
child
that?
doesn't have to be literal. It's role, not...
I know. It's more like the innocence part of child. I'm like I have some conflicted feelings about for
I
this
mean,
character, but I'm
I
working.
don't. The other aspect of that like I always think about, like when it comes to a person that is childlike, yes, there is like the innocent side, but like there's also the like unruly, like highly emotional kind of like aspect of that I also think about, like if you're describing a person who is like a child.
There's
Yeah,
also the thing of like if like there is an alignment between thoughtful and child, in that small size doesn't have to be literally physical.
That's very true. Yeah, I think part of this is also just because, like, as a person who spends like a lot of my life around children,
Sure.
I like the innocent bit. I actually like at a philosophical level disagree with, because I think that weird Victorian like positioning of children as like born without sin, like I actually think is horseshit. So like I think that's part of my struggle. I'm like, no, children are amoral. That's actually what they are. They're not innocent.
There's something to think about there too, if you want to frame what that means. Also about the way children are often behave and are perceived as very clear-eyed, and they see through so many things. Like there's a lot of other ways you could choose to frame that and be excited about it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, it's the Ashitaka thing, right? Go and see with eyes unclouded by hatred.
Yeah.
I'm about it. This is good.
Cool.
Just to clarify, and I should know this off by heart, but we're choosing one
One
special
specialty move.
Yeah, cool.
And then we move on to distances.
I mean, Emily, I don't know, like, if we could, like, outvote Ash and say that you get 2, because this is a democracy.
Yeah, we're making changes right now.
We're just gonna redesign. So there's a special Emily exemption clause in here that says Emily gets to pick 2 moves when she plays. And, like, it's 2-on-1, you know?
I don't think that would be very fair.
I think that would be a bad idea. I'm not actually serious. I have 2 thoughts.
2 whole thoughts. Jiminy Cricket.
That's
2 entire. Technically, I have 3.
Uh-oh.
Because
It's popcorn.
I have a thought about what my character is, and then I have 2 moves that I am considering.
I see. All right.
Yeah.
So really, it's 1 thought with 2 follow-up thoughts.
Yes.
Cool.
Which is 3 thoughts in total.
Yep.
This is a new organizational hierarchy that's entirely unfamiliar to me.
Yeah, because I like the idea, and a lot of this is probably, again, because I'm in a very whether what tastes like wine move. I like the idea of playing a character who is like a very like old, like physically looking wise, an old like cowboy and like rancher who like has like held onto that lifestyle and doesn't have a home, like, and like wanders around from like ranch to ranch, like getting what work they can. And like will probably only be at wherever we are setting the game, like for the duration of the game, and probably like fucks off again. Which you see, I'm playing the Lonely Wind. Do you see what I'm doing here?
Yeah.
I'm following a through line, and so I can't decide whether I like more vehicle and the idea that they have like a car that they ride around on, or taking ritual movement.
Ooh. Because
That's what we all think.
Because I'm not gonna. I don't want to take animal companion and have a horse. Like that is too obvious, and it's not interesting to me.
I actually do also really like the idea of you just having like a big old truck, though.
Yeah, beat up
I feel
old car or something.
Like driver speaks to me more for that concept.
Yeah.
Ritual movement tells you about changing yourself to fit whatever, like, you know, where you are because you move.
Which is also interesting.
But I feel like
wind.
But I feel like it's more interesting to see the friction of the person moving from place to place and never quite fitting.
Yep. All right, cool. I'm going to pick driver, and I'm going to design a car.
It's good. This actually gives me a little bit of a thought about like a possible connection between.
Oh my god, it's going to be a tractor. It's not going to be a tractor.
We've already had that in previous.
No tractors.
This game.
Did we?
Yeah. I don't think you were in those sessions, but there was one where Ash's. Actually, there's been several where.
I am all about tractors.
Ash has played a character who's had a tractor, or there's been an NPC with an important tractor. Like,
all right.
I'm deeply shocked.
It comes up.
Ash, brace yourself. I'm going to ask you a lot of questions about car words because many of these options I don't actually know what the fuck that means in
that's fine.
Visual terms.
Yeah.
What is a coupe?
A coupe means 2 doors.
2 doors. Okay, one of the really small cars. Okay.
I mean, like a coupe, it means 2 doors. It usually means like something like they're usually more sporty.
Cars, that's not going to help either.
No, they're usually more sporty, right? Like.
Oh no, okay, definitely not that. What's a compact?
That's what you were thinking of the first time.
Okay, that's the one, and like the backs to get into the backseat, you have to do the foldy thing.
Yeah, it could have 4 doors. It could have 2, but the point is, it's very small. Usually hatchback.
Whereas a sedan is like your classic, like four doors, car,
boot,
right?
And
and a Jeep is like big and like those military.
Yeah, it's a 4x. It's a 4x4. Like as in, sorry,
it's not a 4-wheel drive.
It's a a 4-wheel drive is it's a more specific form of 4x4.
Okay.
It's
Jeeps
usually
are the best.
yeah.
This is like I'm going very deep in.
No, it's cool.
It's definitely
No,
not an
these are
ambulance. It's definitely not an ambulance. I don't think it's construction or utility. I don't think that makes sense. I don't think a tractor makes sense. So it's a case of like,
If I can just suggest, it's either a Jeep or a pickup truck.
Yeah.
I kind of feel it. Or
I
here's my
immediately got
question:
pick up a truck.
is it a motorcycle? Is it like a dirt bike?
I mean, like a. Yeah. Right. Okay. I don't think it's a dirt bike.
The downside to that is that there's space for other people in a pickup truck or a Jeep versus on like
That's true.
in back of a
That's true.
pickup or the back of a Jeep can be.
Like I know the exact.
What's a pickup again? Like I've got it. I know what a
A
Jeep
pickup-
looks
like a
I've got it
pickup is a
in the
ute.
back of my head.
A
What's
pickup
a
is a
ute?
ute.
That's for whatever reason. I'm just blanking shit. What the fuck? What's that?
Big chunky truck-like thing with a tray at the back.
Oh yeah.
Not
One of
truck,
the,
like
but with the long bit at the back. Yeah.
A
Okay.
Toyota Hilux?
A Hilux.
yeah, that kind of thing.
That helps? Okay, I wasn't sure.
I don't know car. Ashley
Luke,
likes
I'm
to say
putting
car
a
names
picture
and
of
gun
a
names at me,
Hilux.
and like
Luke, I'm putting a picture in a Hilux of a Hilux in
roll 20.
in Roll20 because
They're
look, I'm
perfect.
honestly not sure how long we can be friends with you not knowing what a Hilux is.
Ash has owned like three.
No, I've owned one that I've totaled twice.
Congratulations, that's amazing.
Okay,
Well,
so,
they don't die, so
and so
I want one.
really don't.
and just for my educational benefit,
It's a
your car is a sedan, yes? Your current car.
wait. My little silver one?
Yeah.
That's a compact.
Okay. Right. All right.
Because it doesn't have the like boot that extends out. The boot is like has the back window in it.
That's a roll 20 link, Ash.
Oh well, there you go. It's in Roll20 now. Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna say I'm gonna go with a Jeep. I think it's a Jeep.
All right. Cool.
Okay.
We got it. Nailed it.
I will think about its strengths and its look and its weaknesses while I stop like wasting everyone's time and you can all.
Cool. All right.
This is
Choose
very
your special
important.
needs.
Vehicles are very important.
Yeah.
You're gonna do
Like-
well here,
like-
Andy.
Tone.
The thing is, yeah, like I communicate a lot about which vehicles I put in the game, right? Like, Emily's character in one of our long-running D&D games had a what was it? It was a BMW.
It was an Isetta.
It was an Isetta. That's right, and it was great.
Most ridiculous car, and I kept painting it. So like it had like green camo, and then it had like pink racing stripes over the top of the. It was the most absurd imaginary car.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
It was great.
So, Andy and Emily, do you have feelings about specialty moves?
I'm very torn. I was very excited about vehicles, so I got real distracted. And
I mean, like, same though, right? Like, I'm like, oh, like, what are you communicating through this car? And Luke's like, I don't know how to speak car. And it's like,
Yeah,
it's like-
I don't know how to drive. I don't
yeah.
care about cars. You want to talk about like swords? Like we can have this conversation where I'm talking about like swords and what that communicates. We do that, but like or like martial arts choreography. But I don't speak car.
Yeah, that's fair.
awesome. This is going to be a wonderful adventure. It's super
I've
good.
designed my car, but right now, Andy, I'm interested to hear what you were thinking.
Oh gosh, I'm thinking 10 bajillion things. I am currently thinking about my belligerent mentor being somebody who works for like the parks department or is a park ranger who doesn't have any work. Because
Once.
I don't know what that is, and that might be bad.
No, it's he's like a very belligerent libertarian parks employee from Parks and Recreation.
I'm sad about that because I only know that that show is. Yep, I know. Let's go with I have no idea.
Yeah,
Right.
cool. That's all right. I don't really either. But yes, of course, you're right. You would be largely out of work.
Yeah, like I imagine that there's just a lot of confusion and uncertainty,
Yeah.
and
Like the biome of the place will have changed radically with the
Yeah.
removal of its largest herbivore.
Oh, and sorry, Ash, if this is like too real given recent work events, but I'm wondering if this is a situation where you're not technically unemployed, like you're still employed, but there are no hours for you to do anything because there is nothing, like there's kind of nothing for you to do, so you're just in this weird like stasis.
Bureaucratic nightmare of a stasis, right? Yeah. So that is the thing I'm thinking about, and I'm like, okay, now special moves.
Yeah, right.
What's important to me?
Yeah. Like, do you have something that's important to you? Because that might be an animal companion, or like a thing speak, or something like that. Or is it something to do with like how you want to change the world? In which case, there's ritual movement, or fetishism, or poetry. I
was just looking at poetry. It's a little bit so conceptually, because I haven't spent a lot of time doing this because I was daydreaming about cars. I'm sitting here going, okay, ritual movement. So what is ritual movement on about?
So yeah, ritual movement.
Did you? I think let's try the shortcut first. Did you watch the Roll20 campaign of Mage the Ascension, the Andrew and Hillary? Okay.
Yeah. All right.
This move is based off Andrew's character in that game, which is why I go there.
Oh yeah, ritual movement is
That's like the first touchstone.
Yeah. So
okay, go ahead, Ash.
So sorry, are we talking ritual movement or poetry?
I'm curious about ritual movement, even though the thing I want to understand that, but I'm arguably then going to ask about poetry.
Cool. So ritual movement is about for me, ritual movement is partially a reference to Alan de Botton's Architecture of Happiness. It's about using the positioning of objects and the shaping of space, including negative space, and like, and to a certain degree, like what's the word? Feng shui and things like that, by making change without to make change within.
Wonderful.
So you're like, I'm going to put the the candlestick that I got when I was confirmed into the church. I'm going to put that in a cupboard, and then I'm going to turn the cupboard around, right? Like that's going to change me fundamentally because I've changed my environment.
Objects as deeply like symbols that are deeply rooted in.
Yeah, and like it can be at different levels, right? Like you can be like, I'm going to rearrange all of the chairs in this room because I want to make myself feel like I'm invisible in it. Right? Like,
yeah,
lovely.
In a lot of ways, it's that very real thing of like the kind of like the way that we arrange the spaces we live in says a lot about us.
Yeah.
And like if you're like,
and affects us,
if you're making efforts and you're like, hey, like I want to be like a more welcoming person. I want my house to be a more welcoming place for my friends. I don't want to be belligerent anymore. And you like renovate is an exaggerated word, right? But like you make changes in the space that you live in and that you move through to like make it a more welcoming place to others. Okay, maybe like you change from belligerent to hopeful.
Yeah, and that's
like
true.
That's the mundane level metaphor here.
Yeah, and if you have ritual movement, that's true of any space you occupy.
Great.
Poetry is more about like poetry aligns really, really well with the hopeful outlook in that you are kind of telling fate what direction things should go. It's about events and like shaping narrative and telling kind of by saying something is going to happen, you make it more likely to be true.
Lovely. Yeah. Awesome.
And usually there's like an element of like ritual to the words, whether that's poetry or singing or mantras or whatever.
Great. Fantastic. So now, that all being said, I'm going to sit here and think about this.
Yeah.
If Emily, you were willing to have some words in.
Yeah, certainly.
Thank you.
I am currently leaning toward fetishism for mine, particularly because I'm thinking that is really interesting given my character's occupation, because it is, when you imbue an object with significance and intent, say how it works, you wear it, you break it, you drink it, you interact with it, and what it does. And you roll plus weird. So I like the idea of, like being this kind of nurse who ostensibly is quite a practical person and has that very practical nurse attitude, but rather than like, but works a little bit more in a kind of strange herbalist kind of way, but just without the sort of aesthetics of that. So like, they will give the patient the medicines, but it's not actually the medicines that are doing the things, it's the way that they've been prepared or the time that they're being given to them, or like they have to tell them a specific thing when they drink this thing that they're meant to have, or things like that. I like the idea of it being the effect is in all the weird kind of
the love that you put
stuff
into the medicine is what makes it
exactly is what
really
actually makes it work. Yes. Yep. Exactly.
That's kind of
so
good.
That's my feeling.
Cool. All right, that sounds good to me.
Which also gives me an idea about stats, so that's good.
Good. Cool. Luke, do you want to tell me about your car?
Yeah, let me talk about my car for a bit. So my car is a Jeep. My car's a Jeep. I have invented a new strength.
Of course you have.
Yep, I've abused my executive powers to do so. So my car is nostalgic, both like in the sense that it is like an old vehicle, like, and again,
It's like J40.
yeah, it's an old vehicle, both in that it is like 40 years old, and also in that like it has it's not like polished and like well maintained, like it looks its age, and also in that like emotionally I have a lot of memories associated with it. And also it speaks to the past, so other people who look at it like remember those things, and it is sheltering. It's not comfortable, but like if I am in the middle of driving across the prairie and there's no town within reach, I can spend a night in it and I'm not going to freeze to death and I'm not going to get mauled by a bear.
Yeah.
But it's not a comfortable night's sleep. I wanted to make that distinction clear.
I love the fact that Andy and I thought of exactly the same car.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm pretty sure that's like the 80s Land Rover, and I was like, yep, all right, cool.
Yeah. The look is, again, I've invented a new one. Its look is beat up, because it's like a real fucking old car.
Yeah.
And like bits are falling off, and I've like attached them back on. And its weakness is it's slow.
Cool. Sounds good.
That is accurate.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
I've accidentally been right about cars. Everyone in chat, I hope you were impressed with me.
Yeah.
I'm excited about your Jeep. I'm really excited about your
That
Jeep.
is pretty good. I can't wait to hang out in my Jeep.
Yeah. Awesome. I have...
Drive in my Jeep to where you have to do your job. It'll
Yeah. Slowly.
Cool. How are you feeling about specialty moves, Andy?
I feel reasonably decisive. I'm going to go ahead and go with ritual movement.
Cool.
Nice.
Sounds great.
So,
Excellent.
and we'll see how fast I can learn and conceptualize that. I feel pretty good about it, and I also would very much welcome support along the way.
Yeah. Sounds good. We will...
I feel like we're going to see a really interesting version of that is like...
Outside.
That is as much like... like not like but like Zen gardening.
Like my brain is going to Andy Goldsworthy. Are you familiar with
Is he
his
the weird
work?
guy with the Banksia man?
No.
No, that was a great artwork.
Andy Goldsworthy, give him a quick
Is this-
Google. He does environmental ephemeral art.
Yes.
Is he the guy who like does the weird arrangements of like all of the leaves by gradient and like that kind of? Yes.
I never
know who
raved
this is.
to you about Andy Goldsworthy. I'm surprised that hasn't
I
happened.
don't think you have. Like I've seen his stuff
goodness.
on Tumblr.
Yeah.
But yeah, my brain Andy went straight to like Zen gardening and the idea of like very
same sort of
carefully
stuff.
like and like the placement of the rocks and like the having a water feature present and all those things are very like important for the space to feel.
But like I'm interested to see where Andy takes that. So
yes.
Yep. Distances.
I have some gear. It includes a newspaper, and once again, it is a specific newspaper.
Of course it is, Luke.
Why have a newspaper if it is not specific?
Oh, I've seen it in played in other ways. But yeah. Let's do distances.
Cool.
For the character on your left and so between each of you, basically, you need to have a person, place, or thing that is shared between you.
Oh.
Goodness.
Oh, I have some thoughts. I have 2 questions.
Oh, I have thoughts too.
One, someone was saying that as I described, I think it was the car, that they were seeing a potential...
Yes.
That was Emily?
Yeah.
Yes.
That you were having a thought?
I
was having a thought. I mean, it's a very basic thought, so it may not be the most interesting thing.
No, thoughts are good.
But just as you were describing sort of your character being like quite old and a sort of like a traveler and a rover, and I imagine that like you might be someone who doesn't have a lot of money and like is because you're not settled would have access to health care and things like that.
Ironically, I have 6 cash. But continue.
Okay. So like I don't know. I'm more thinking like maybe we have a relationship in that like I am willing to come and come and basically do things for you that you need done like at your car as though it were a house and like
I'm into that. That's true.
I have a question.
Your leg or you.
I have a suggestion. Is the thing a disease?
Oh, that's a great suggestion. As in we have the same one, or I am helping specific.
I have a disease. No, I'm really.
I think
into
that's
that.
really cool.
Emphysema or something like.
I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it spooky. This is gonna be good.
So okay. So I think in that case, it sounds like this is not sort of the first time that you've been here, even if you don't stay here.
In my mind, this character does like there are places that they come back to. So yeah, I think I'm into that.
Yep.
My other question, which is for both of you, is how what generation are your characters in? Right, because like I'm playing a character who like at least appearance-wise is in like their 70s. Like how are we age-wise like positioned relative to one another? So I think that's important.
I'm feeling that this character is kind of like 40s, maybe late 40s. Kind of like older, middle-aged-ish woman. I'm thinking that which is like a very classic like stereotype.
Well, there's a couple of different
nurse,
stereotypes to play, but
I have a kind of.
Here's the thing: you are playing the mother nurse, not the crone nurse or the maiden nurse.
Yes, exactly.
Any age of female character as a nurse, there is an archetype.
There is an archetype for
it's a super associated with a gender occupation.
Yeah.
I feel like this character is going to be like on the cusp of 40, early 40s, and is relatively young,
Cool.
in the process of being in this space. So.
I have a thought, Andy. I would like to propose the thing to you.
I'm already really excited about it.
For whatever reason today, I'm feeling a really Spirited Away vibe. What if, like, I visited, like, one of my previous visits to the town, when you were a kid, we had a relationship. For some reason, Andy's character doesn't remember me. My responsibility to Andy's character weighs heavily on me.
That's some distances.
I'm like, those are the distances that go along with that. Like, what are the details? We'll find them out and play. But like, that's the space of that.
Wonderful.
You were some sort of like mysterious adult at some point, like who visited and went away again. And
But I am
at the moment, though, you do need to establish what your shared thing is.
Yes, that is true. We also need to establish.
You need to do that before you do distances.
It sounds like it could be a place.
A place?
Yeah.
Or someone that you knew, and that's how you were.
Yeah.
Like if maybe there's a relative of Andy's character or something.
Sure. I keep thinking about like the field office that I imagine my character is near. Often is there waiting to know if they have a job or not.
That happen. Yeah.
Like. So I imagine it's pretty casual as a destination, and that despite this character's belligerent, there's a lot of people coming through where there used to be when it was like when there were a lot of tourists, and maybe now there's a whole bunch of nobody in particular.
Because it's always empty, it's a really convenient place for me to park my car before. And then, like, I park my car there, and I take my swag out of my car and lock up my car, and then go find a ranch to live on and work on. And then, like, when it's time to go out of town, I go back to my car, right? Like, that's the...
It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I like it.
And then for Emily's unnamed character.
Actually, I do have a name. I just have to work out exactly how to pronounce it.
Awesome.
Good job. There's two possibilities here, and both of them are really interesting. Emily, here are my options. One, Emily's character and I no longer touch, which for a patient and a doctor, like a medical professional, is really weird and interesting. Or Emily's character is responsible for why I am as I am.
That one's. I like that one.
Don't establish any more details. That's for later.
Yeah, I like that.
I left that one to last for a reason. I was like, Emily will be into that.
Yes, and I love that one because, like, at least for me, I instinctively think of it as a bad thing. Like I am somehow responsible for something that is causing you sadness or discomfort.
I have the disease.
Yeah, exactly. But it could also be a positive thing. It could be like you have like helped me be like
Still
positive.
alive.
Yeah, exactly, or something. So yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. So that's my distances, and then I might just very quickly while
do you
people
want to
thinking,
like slide through?
Yeah, I'm just run through my gear. I have 6 cash. I have a weapon. I haven't decided what it is yet. I have booze. It's in my car. I have a torch. It's one of those big clunky ones. It's also in my car.
Is a torch a flashlight?
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry.
I have a newspaper. It is a very old newspaper. Like, older than by my appearance should be. Like, it's from, like, 1880 or something. It's, like, a weird thing that portrays, like, the spookiness of the character.
Fantastic.
I have a record, or more correctly, I have a bunch of, like, old cassettes.
Yes.
That go in the cassette player in my Jeep. And I have a bell. On my hat.
Nice.
In the same way that, you know, like the Australian, like we have the cork things.
Yeah.
I think there's like a bell, like a couple of bells hanging off my hat, and so there's this very distinctive sound I make when I arrive and leave spaces, which happens somewhat inexplicably.
Yeah. And Andy, the reason that I've used the word torch there, that we've used the word torch there instead of flashlight, is because there's a thing that I do in it could be a flaming one, right? Like,
got it.
Similarly,
because
a record could be like a receipt, but it could also be a vinyl.
Love it. Got it. Because they're ambiguous.
Yeah.
Or it could be your prison tattoos that tell of your incarceration.
Gorgeous.
So that's the intention with the gear.
Thank you.
The distances. Do Andy's character and Emily's character have a shared person, place, or thing yet?
Not yet. Right. I'm very interested. Do you have a sense?
I have one thought, but I'm wondering if it's too obvious.
Obvious is good. Like, your brain is different than mine. Like, no problem.
That's true. I did have the thought about my character that I kind of would love it if all of my shared things are like related to like my work. So like maybe we have a shared person, like which is somebody that I am like caring for or used to care for.
I'd like to bring in an NPC.
Yeah, to create more NPCs and stuff. But I don't know who that might be.
Sure.
Like.
And when we say care for, do you mean like as a nurse with a patient,
yes,
rather than care for as in like a romantic relationship?
Yeah, the first one. Yeah.
Okay, so there's so many in my imagining. We have like this very small town where there just aren't.
That's
like,
what I'm feeling that. Yeah.
So like, is this the person who holds down, like, what do you call? It's not even like the general store, but I cannot find the word.
Yeah.
I think it would be helpful if it's someone who is emotionally important to Andy's character.
Sure.
Yeah. I
like
think
a
that would.
parent, maybe.
Like,
sibling.
parent, sibling,
Sibling.
spouse
An ex?
type thing. Yeah,
Say it again?
ex, child, any of those.
I like sibling because it's the least obvious.
Yeah, fair.
Right? Like we're like,
Although,
oh,
like,
an
an
ill
ex-
family member.
An ex-partner
An
is
ex-partner
also
is
really
also-
interesting.
yeah.
Like that immediately makes a very complicated like web of emotions.
Yeah.
I'm into
Like,
that.
Cool.
like if we are friends or know each other because I am still caring for someone who used to be romantically entangled with you, that gets
That's
like
nice. Nice and
That's real good and messy.
yeah. Cool.
Excellent.
yeah. Should we give this person
Yes, please.
a name and
Yeah.
I want to hear everyone, our characters' names before I name this
Yeah.
individual.
Cool. Sounds good.
Yeah,
So-
we need like a naming
Let me check my
aesthetic.
I think.
Because I am confident that I know what my character's name is. However, we'll find out as things happen. I need to do distances.
Yeah.
My character's name is Agueda.
Awesome.
UEDA.
Cool.
Yeah, and pronouns are she, her.
Excellent.
And it was Ugueda?
Agueda.
Agueda. Thank you.
Yeah, how do I spell that?
I'll put it in chat.
AGUEDA.
Em, can you update your character's name in the Roll20 thing?
Yeah, I have. Like that.
Great.
I am gonna go. My character's name is Hart, H-A-R-T,
Cool. Excellent.
Yeah, nice.
and pronouns are she, her.
That feels very like Montana, right? Like
It's really interesting.
It's
Like,
right there
yeah,
for me.
Roll20 has like when you're doing Roll20 character sheets, Roll20 has a thing where it specifically says, please make sure that the gender field is like a free text box. I can't remember the last time I created a character sheet where we had a gender field at all. Right? Like all I add is like look and pronouns. You don't need a gender
this is
field.
the
Interesting, yeah.
This is the thing I'm currently. This is the one part of my look, and we're not going to talk it through. I'll probably do it on the break. But like,
Yeah.
it's the one part of my look I'm still kind of working through. Is like I know what my character's pronouns are. Their presentation is the bit I'm still like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know where I want to go with that.
Yeah.
I do have a name.
Cool.
Cool. Which is
Ray.
Right?
Ray.
R-A-Y.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's really
It's real good.
yeah. That fits that character so well.
So yeah,
So yeah, I'm thinking about this this patient, Andy, that
Yeah.
is our shared person. Do you have any feelings about the kind of person that your character might have previously dated?
I have this really wonderful imagining that this was the sort of thing where when you're lonely and in a small isolated town, it's the closest person that you can connect with. So they're probably not too far off in age and not too far off in like some overlapping of interests. But then there's just from there like just a big pivot, like essentially not great partners, right? Like this is a bad call.
Yeah.
That's what I'm feeling.
Oh, did you have like your shared interest was that like maybe they were like a hunter, or they were somehow like also interested in like the place where you work, and like so also like that shared interest kind of just like inevitably died because the thing
Yes.
can't put that together like anymore.
It's perfect. I love it.
Sad.
So good.
I love the idea that they're partially responsible for like, because if they're a hunter, they're partially responsible for the disappearance of the oak deer. Like,
Yes.
We should also, I imagine, like create some tension and some bad feels like within that relationship. So, yeah. Oof.
cool.
All right.
All
We're
right,
doing it. It's great.
cool. We have our shared thing. Don't establish details for your distances specifically. Just put a name in a slot.
Okay. Yeah, I need to choose some distances.
God.
Think about it more. What are you interested in exploring with that character?
because like there is an actor. I'm trying to remember his name. You know the old guy who's in all the West. He always plays the cowboy character. He was in The Big Lebowski. Everyone knows the character I'm talking about. No, I don't. Like, I swear to God, if I show you a picture, you will all know who I'm talking about. But there is a very specific male actor who, like, not only in my head, but in like the trope, like Western space in general, is associated with the description I'm picking for my look.
I can just in Clint Eastwood. I don't think that's.
Clint Eastwood is not
in The Big Lebowski. Let me just...
It's Sam Elliott.
The good news is the trope is pretty informative.
Yeah. Sorry, what was the name, Luke?
Sam Elliott.
Oh.
Oh, right. Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, right? Like,
exactly
Sam
what I
Elliott,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
There is this image of like the character I am describing.
Yes.
Yes.
And so what I cannot decide is, should I play that character? Like, should I just like lean into that because it already exists, or should I be like, hey, what does like a non-binary version of that character, like a non-binary presenting character version of that character look like, or what does like a female version of that look like?
The
I don't
female
know,
version
like,
of that is what's the name from Whitefall in
Not a piece of media around.
No. It's a moon in Firefly. Not Justice.
I don't think the character is a moon, Andy.
Let's do some googling.
No, I've got this.
Is it Patience?
Patience from Whitefall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Female
Patience.
version.
Bonnie Bartlett is the
There you
name.
go.
Yeah. That's a really good one. Bonnie Bartlett.
I want to hurry us along on those distances
legit.
so that we can take a break.
Hey, Emily, would you be into Agueda? How to say that right? Agueda? Sees things that Heart doesn't see?
That's so interesting. I was almost going to use that the other way around.
If you do it,
But yeah,
you can both do it.
Great.
True, we could both take it. That's true.
Let's do that and see what happens.
Yeah, I like that idea because it creates this kind of really interesting. Because to me, I always think of that as having like an envy associated with it. Like they're seeing things that I wish I could see.
Yeah.
And I like the idea that we're like envying different things in one another.
Yeah, and engaging in different planes of reality, right? Different domains and lenses they're in. So.
Yeah, I really like that. That's cool.
And then what does Heart want to have for a distance for Ray? Luke, how do you feel about Ray listens to me but doesn't understand?
I think that I'm interested in that. I think there's some meat. There's some meat on those bones.
There's that seems like a thing. Oh gosh, I just got all distracted because I just saw the line about Emily. Does it get better or worse if I ask about Agueda no longer holds my heart? I'm really excited about that.
I think that gets better. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would like to do that.
That sounds great.
Excellent.
So you're taking that one?
Yes.
Yep. Cool.
And so does that mean, Andy, you've got those two? Because is that in
That's two
addition
for
to
Emily,
the sees things I don't see?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question. Is that an option? Is that
So you need to have one for everyone and then one more.
Oh,
Yeah, one person you have a more complex relationship with.
great. Let me keep thinking about this because for sure the Agueda no longer holds my heart, and then let me process.
I'm wondering about.
So yeah, you should have 3.
I'm wondering about. I kind of like. I don't understand the actions of Ray, and I feel like if I have a bit of a, and this is very vague, 'cause I don't want to flesh it out, but I feel like that could have something to do with like the way that you move around and drift and change so much. Like, is a thing is
And like for someone with a medical condition like the one I am now having to manage, like it is a foolish thing to do. Like a normal person at this point in their life would have settled down to get medical care. And I'm like, that's good. I'm just gonna keep doing this. It's fine.
Yeah, I think that's it. It's like I just don't understand why you're so like frivolous about it, or like
I also I've moved away. I've moved away from Sam Elliott.
Okay.
My question is
and Bonnie Bartlett.
Okay.
Because there is a really annoying ahistorical trope about white cowboys that I really hate, actually.
Fair.
And Ash and Emily, this should not surprise you. The very first place my brain went when I was like, cool, okay, but what about an actor to play a cowboy who is not white? Was Edward James Olmos.
Yeah, of course.
Who was Sunrise's face claim.
Yeah,
that was the first place it went. Especially because there's photos of him like very recently with like a full beard, and like it's a look, and glasses. It's a look.
I'm really interested to see the contrast between that and being like the characters you're describing and like being a child.
Being like small and like the childlike aspects of that is really interesting. But then also Garrett Morris, who was a black comedian who did a lot of Saturday Night Live stuff back in like the 80s and 90s. Who's like very, very like small and wrinkled and like mischievous looking, and I'm like, that's also really interesting. So I'm still working.
Yes, I just looked him up. I like that angle. I think that's really. Yeah.
He was for any American Gods fans in the audience who are googling along.
Great.
Garrett Morris was my like headcanon for Mr. Nancy for like quite some time. Before we got Orlando Jones, who was also excellent.
He's got such a great face.
I have a clarifying question about when we've got 3 distances, that means that any given character is pointed more strongly at one of the other 2 characters. So I want to make sure I don't close anyone out. So where are those directions at right now?
Mine is pointed at you.
Great. So then I should definitely point mine at Emily's character. Is my feeling on that.
And then I should point mine at Luke's character?
It's not. It doesn't.
We don't have to do that. I just wanted to make sure
it would be nice.
Like there is a productive game to be had with like one like very intense relationship, and I think that's what we did last game, isn't it, Ash?
Yeah. It was you and Sarah's character were.
Yeah, exactly. The mother and daughter were pointed very strongly at each other, and then there was like the friend visiting from college, and that was also a really interesting triad. So like I am open to all possibilities here, but for the record, I am pointed in Andy's character.
Cool. That is helpful to know.
Yeah, I'm currently not sure. I've just got one for each of you at the moment, so I'm not sure what interests me most, because I'd be
you could take
like either
one with my disease, but no, that's bending the game too far.
I mean that's kind of what the one that I've got is like really.
No, but I'm talking like literally like I do not understand the actions of the disease that Ray has, like specifically. It's like a weird science-defying thing, but like no, that's don't do that. That's bad.
If you're taking the one about Agueda no longer holds my heart, as well as the like seeing things that I don't see, then I'm interested in maybe taking a second one with your character that like interacts with that part of the narrative.
Great.
Assuming like I wonder if that's a like a known reciprocal thing, or if it's like a
Don't create too.
I know I'm not gonna. I don't want to like flush it out.
You have my buy-in on not knowing and setting a thing up. That's I'm in.
No longer holds my heart.
No longer speak honestly is always a good one for
that one is good.
Relationships.
I was very tempted.
I think I like, because it's like it always sort of leads into like fun stuff. I think I would like, if it works for you, Andy, to take I know heart is keeping things from me.
Yeah, lovely.
That's great. I love it.
Cool.
Yes, the fun option.
So we have distances. Andy, have you got 3 distances?
I do. I went ahead and stuck with the ones I talked about earlier. So Agueda no longer holds my heart. Agueda sees things that I don't see. And Ray listens to me but doesn't understand.
Cool. Excellent. All right. So what I'm thinking is we're going to take a break. Y'all can like just quickly just. Well, it's allowed to be a slightly longer one if needed. But let's do gear scores and look. During the break, and we can bring those back in because they don't require as much discussion. So they can just be like, I am these things. Cool, great, excellent. Cool.
Well, like, here is the first scene with my character. Let me describe myself.
Yeah, exactly. That makes sense. All right, so we'll be back in a minute, chat, once we've got ourselves all sorted, and we'll see you shortly.